Well, this is a nice private gathering.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 15th Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Director Lean to call the roll, please.
Yes, Baltzell,
Here.
Karstensen,
Here.
Crosby,
Here.
and Wunderlich.
Here.
And be it noted for the record that Babich, Coles, and Rehrman have excused absences this morning.
Okay, very good. We do have a quorum. And Commissioner Karstensen, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very good. Ceremonies, appointments, and announcements. I'm not aware of any of those activities this morning. Director Lean, are you aware of anything we should be doing that I'm not?
No, sir, other than just on the agenda, we do have an executive session later this morning.
Correct. Thank you very much. Any conflict disclosures from any of the commissioners this morning on anything on the agenda? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Director Lean.
Yes, Chairman. Item A in the consent calendar this morning is the Commission City Council minutes from April 17, 2014. And item B is the workshop minutes from May 7th, 2014. Item C is the payables for the month, and those total $88,006.65. Item D is the bank activity report. Oh, and part of the payables, just a note, we have a couple of the larger payables. There was on the Greens Ferry project, JUB was a little over 24,000. Spencer Street Engineering was a little over 7,000, and on the city center, we had about 43,000, just as large payables. On the bank activity report, we show a total funds in all accounts of $6,978,850.03 and accrued interest for the month of $1,032.49. Item E in your packet is the financial reports as of April 30, and those are always posted to our website for the public to view. That's the extent of the consent calendar. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those.
If we could go back to the unpaid bills detail, I'd appreciate it if on the item having to do with Spokane Street signalization and other construction phase services, if you would not show it as CCCP, if you would change that to Spokane Street, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions on the consent calendar?
Just one, Mr. Chairman. My question is, when will the obligations associated with the improvements to be placed in the East Post Falls District, specifically the Washington Trust bonds, when will they start showing up as liabilities on the balance sheet?
Washington Trust specifically, when we do the first draw on that, then that will start showing on the.
Okay, so the bonds essentially have not yet been issued?
We have closed the loan, yes.
Okay.
It's all signed
So
and closed.
That was my question.
won't
Shouldn't that
show
loan
on-
show up on as a liability on the balance sheet?
We were not going to show it until we did the first draw, until there's an actual liability that exists. Right now,
There's dollars in the district funds we'll draw first before we draw against the loan.
Sure.
So we haven't actually activated the loan by drawing any funds. As soon as we do, it'll show up on that liability.
Okay, good. It was just a timing question.
Very
We'll
good.
be there.
Anything else? Anybody? Okay. Moving along, committee updates, finance and policy. Do you have anything to report at this time?
Did
there?
we
Oh.
motion to
we need a
approve?
motion to approve the
Oh,
consent
excuse me.
calendar.
Excuse me, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move the approval of the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'd second it.
Okay.
And no, I have nothing new to report other than
Any
what.
further discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
get her act together here, Bree. If there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Now, no, I have nothing further to report with finance or policy, other than what Director Lean has already stated from the report.
Thank you. District Review Chairman is not here this morning, and I know that they have work in progress, and probably in June, I think would be the earliest, we'll see some preliminary activity on District Review through the workshop process. Communications, Property, and Personnel, that chair is not here either. I'm not aware of anything at this time that needs to be brought to the group.
No.
Okay, citizen comments. This is the opportunity for citizens that are here to wish to address the commission regarding any agency-related issue. If you have comments related to a future public hearing, it should be held for that public hearing, and anyone wishing to speak will have 5 minutes. Sir, do you have any? Welcome this morning. Any comments you'd like to make? Or?
Morning.
Okay, very good. Well, you're welcome to just sit and enjoy. Unfinished business. Director Lean, a review of the Greens Ferry overpass process.
Yes, sir. On total expenses for the month of May through May so far is $26,089.65, and on the Greens Ferry overpass entire project, looking at the money that we've paid the owner's rep, legal fees, financing costs, et cetera, we are at $684,797.25. We are approaching, within the next 30 to 60 days, the end of that initial owner's rep contract. That contract was through the point in time where we have final selection and a contract with the design-build team. We anticipate that happening in our June meeting. This afternoon, we will have a public price opening, sealed bid, if you will, on the two proponents. And then we will merge that information with the technical scoring evaluation that we went through on that process on Tuesday this week. So by Monday, we will have a consolidated score for the two teams, so that we can make the project team at that point can make a recommendation back to the commission. And then we are scheduling a special meeting for the commission to be held on the 22nd, which will be Thursday next week. And at that time, and this is governed by law to a certain degree, at that time we will do a full disclosure, public disclosure on the selection of the design-build team, and we'll also have a rendering of the site, the project site, showing what properties will be impacted for right-of-way acquisition. And then
What time will that meeting be? The 22nd?
22nd, we're looking at 7:30
7:30 in the morning?
here in the council chambers.
Does that work for the four of us?
I think so.
Make sure we've got a quorum. Okay. Would an earlier time be better? Deborah, does it matter?
I think 7:30.
7:30, okay. And let's press on with 7:30.
We anticipate a short meeting, just for the purpose of doing the selection, pass a motion of intent to award. And then subsequent to that, we would put together the actual contract between the agency and the design-build contractor, the team, and then that contract would come to the commission on the June meeting, our normal monthly meeting in June for approval. And then after that, we would issue a notice to proceed, probably.
Hopefully we'll have it so we can review it at the workshop
Yes,
first.
Question?
depending on the council.
The 687,000 and change number that you gave as total cost to date, does that include the work that was done several years ago on the environmental study and some of the initial design when we thought it was going to be a full interchange?
No, sir.
Okay, could we get it at some future meeting, could we get that number with those, all the preliminary initial costs that were associated with this, the planning of this project rolled into it?
The information both from the agency, what we have spent,
Just the agency?
okay.
Yeah, not whatever, I know the city invested too.
Right, because we prepaid, part of the process was that we prepaid to ITD 500,000, and there was, they utilized a portion of that, and when we cut off the interchange project, we got a refund of the remaining balance, and that was about $360-some thousand. So there's, that differential was all right, but I can get that.
Yeah,
the
I
actual
just
numbers
think
you.
for purposes of being able to tell the full story to the public and understand it ourselves, that, this project has been in the pipeline for 17 or 18 years, and if we had just our commitment and the funds that we've devoted to first the full interchange and now the overpass, it would be a useful piece of information to be able to
Yeah.
defend the project.
What I don't want to see happen, though, is those dollars get blended into this current project because they're
Right.
totally
Sure.
separate. Identifying them separately, I have no problem with.
Yeah, we could basically say full interchange investment and then revised investment.
Because it's basically never got past
Exactly.
design and was canceled. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
But that would be good
Yeah,
information. We
and
can
I
do
know,
that.
everybody was hopeful that we could get the full interchange, and we certainly, the city and the commission were invested in attempting to make that happen, and when it appeared that it didn't, then we scaled our expectations back.
And I believe that each of the proponents that have submitted bids have done that with the idea, the intent that their design would be compatible in the future, 20 years or whenever down the road, if in fact there was to be an interchange take place, that they would be able to accommodate that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Just a note on the process that we're going through. We did the technical review. Larry and Tom were involved in that. I was from an oversight point of view. That went really well, but that's only one piece of it. The other piece is, another piece is the price, and we didn't look at the price until we did the technical, which is the right way to do it. But there are other factors that come into play in the formula before you get to the final end that says this is the one that we should have, which we'll know that on Monday.
We'll know that. You go through the process, the formula to calculate all of the components of that. We'll know who the project team will recommend to the council.
Recommending to the commission.
But that public notice of the selection has to be in a public venue like we have here this
Be on
morning.
The 22nd.
And that would be scheduled as a special agency meeting next Thursday.
And on the 22nd, will that be in the chamber conference
It will
room?
be here.
Here on
So
TV?
it'll be televised for the public.
That's what I was wondering.
It's a
Question
large-
for Commissioner Carstensen or Tom. Did the technical review incorporate into it an analysis of the financial capability of the specific proponent? Obviously, it's a large project. They have to, in essence, bring their financial capacity to the project in terms of making the expenditures prior to reimbursement. That was just,
Are you asking if the ones that are bidding on it, if their financial stability was,
part of the review, right?
yes, it was, because they went through all the bonding and all that stuff.
They had to provide a bid bond also.
bond.
To show that they were financially capable of even bidding on this project.
Shows their capacity.
Okay.
But that wasn't part of the Tuesday's effort. No, specifically.
Okay.
It was done prior to that.
There's a number of, 4 or 5 things that enter into the formula for figuring out which one has the best overall bid. It's not just price.
No, I understand.
Yeah, there's other things that enter into it. And then other things, there was percentages applied to different parts of the scenario the other day, the design, compatibility, adaptability, there was different percentages applied. So all of this stuff has to be figured into the final formula before there's a number comes out. It was very interesting, but it was grueling to do this, I think.
Painful.
It was fairly in-depth process.
Yeah,
can tell
it
you
just
from-
didn't happen going home and sitting down one night and going through this.
I can tell you that having observed the process, there was a lot of work that went into it before they ever got into that meeting room by all of the people involved.
Many, many times I was very thankful there was only 2 bidders. Well,
Okay, any other comments or questions on the unfinished business portion for Greens Ferry? Is there any new business?
No, sir, not from here.
Does anybody else have any new business? Okay. Staff report and updates, anything different?
Yes, I would like to make comment on, on one thing in your packet was the information from our website, statistics. We always provide that each month, and it shows Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, Boise were the 4 top locations for access to our website for people that were looking at the website. And that the numbers, all the numbers on this were provided to you in the packet. On some other information, just from a staff report standpoint, planning and zoning meeting this week was very long, and I won't take the time to really get into all of what they did, but it's well worth, if you have the time, opportunity to go on the city website and look at the planning and zoning, the download, the streaming audio. They had 2 things that were very important to the agency. Number 1, Expo at Post Falls Zone Amendment. Watson and Associates went to the P&Z with a request for zone change of about 117 acres from the current zoning of commercial and industrial to 68 acres of community commercial services, CCS, 47 acres of median density, and 2 acres of high density. And commission members felt there was already adequate commercial industrial zoned land in the city, and felt that the change of zone to provide for additional community commercial services was appropriate. So they did pass that unanimously. There was a number of people that stood up and spoke in favor of that zone change. There was a number of letters that were received. All of the agencies, KCFR, police, everybody was in tune with this and was very supportive of that. Businesses were very supportive of it because there's a distinct need to create more jobs and expand business. And the businesses all came back and said the only way that you can effectively do that is to have housing available for the employees that would be there with the new jobs. It was a really long discussion, but it was very interesting. And I think it would be, if you can go online and listen to that on the streaming report, that would be very good. Another thing that they did was a Post Falls landing. We've had issue with that on how to do that, how to market it. Well, we can't do this because the smart code says this, and it prevents us from doing this kind of expansion. And we've always been pushing everybody to change the smart code to make it more favorable. The proposed amendment removed ambiguities and defines a clearer vision for the existing plan that places it more in conformance with the overall goals of the city's comprehensive plan and conformance to the requirements of the smart code with regard to allowable land use, required improvements, and dedication of civic space. So, and that will help in the marketing efforts that to date have been pretty difficult due to uncertainties in the required improvements, just the ambiguities in that smart code and the language, and the limitations in parts of the plan. So that was a long discussion also, and that recommendation, they approved that. The recommendation on both of these things, on Expo and Post Falls Landing Smart Code, that recommendation will go to City Council on July 1st for their action and hopeful approval.
July 1st?
Yes.
Did the, did the clarification on the landing eliminate the requirement for underground parking?
Yes.
Good.
It allowed,
Allowed
the
surface parking.
option.
Yes.
it opened that up. And they said that it was, in the language, they were talking about that being an ambiguity in the language. So they provided clarification that would accommodate that. And there's things like that in the whole process that everybody's gone back and forth and with a lot of debate on what they can do or cannot do. Well, different groups, different people read it different ways, and their interpretation of what is allowed. Hopefully, this will provide for development that everybody can be happy with and accept, and they can get that property marketed properly.
Is that definition and the clarification of that definition, is that applicable only to that specific development, or is it broader than that with regard to other projects that might fall under the SMART code?
It was more specific to the amendment, the Post Falls Landing
I see.
Smart Code
Okay.
Infill Neighborhood Plan Amendment.
Okay.
It was pretty specific to the landing, yes.
But it would serve as a
Precursor
precedent
to,
I would think so.
other,
yeah.
yeah, perfect, thank you.
So that was good. It was good progress. But both of those items, if you look at the long meeting and do the download on the audio, the video streaming, you can go to those two sections and listen to that. I didn't get this until late yesterday, and last night I was listening through this, and I didn't have time to listen to the whole thing, but I need to go back and listen to that, because that will affect, on both of these, it will affect what we do going forward on both of those districts with the proponents.
Yep. Okay, good questions.
Thank you.
Anything else on the staff report?
No, sir.
Okay, any commissioner comments at this time?
Just a question. Tom, can you update us any more on the BNSF, where we're at? Has there been any changes on that?
The city continues to work with them and has had good discussions in the last week. There has been some progress made. It's just, we're still
On both?
on both, yes.
Okay.
And actually, there has been some progress in the last week on both Spencer Street and the city, or city center.
Are we still pursuing the workaround potential for moving forward with Spokane even and staying out of the easement?
Yes.
Good.
That's
We
an
just-
option for us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. I think that was a smart
Yeah.
move.
absolutely, absolutely.
We anticipate going to bid on city center on the corridor project within the next week or so. We need to do that so that we can get the benefits from the market prices on material.
Right.
It's early enough now. If we wait too long, then you're going to have an issue with the contractors being available because of other work and also pricing on materials.
Yeah, it's a time and weather factor as well, so that'll. work out.
I'd just like to compliment Commissioner Carstensen and the other members who participated in the design review and clarification for the Greens Ferry overpass. I know that must have been a huge job, and we appreciate.
Actually, it was very interesting,
Okay.
but
So is doing your taxes.
taxes were probably more fun than this. No, this was a real learning experience, and it's not over. We still got some more steps in the process. But it was definitely a learning experience, that's for sure.
Okay, very good. No other commissioner comments. I just have a couple comments, and one is just a reminder that this process for the Greens Ferry overpass, the team that's been working on the project team, which Larry now is part of as well as Tom, actually started some time ago, and thanks to Dave Holloway and his work on that team until the time when his term expired was outstanding, and he just laid the groundwork for the rest of us to pick it up and move it forward. And I think Larry would agree with that.
Yeah, very, Very helpful on Dave's part.
Yeah. Last thing I'd like to say is that at times, we all go through issues within our personal life that affect our health or a health of a family member or a close friend. And one of our commissioners is dealing with some health issues right now, and that would be Paula, and she could certainly use, she and her family use our prayers during this time. So if you'd all take that to heart, I'd appreciate it. And with having said that, I'd like to entertain a motion to move to executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into executive session for the following purposes pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2345 subsection 2, consider the evaluation of an individual agent, and further, that no action or making of any final decision shall be made in executive session, and that the executive session shall last no longer than 15 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We will now go into executive session for approximately 15 minutes. Okay, it's time to bring the commission back out of executive session at this time and return to our regular session. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, our meeting is adjourned.